begin. The Book of Joy, featuring the Dalai Lama, Desmond Tutu, and the one and only, the creator of the book, actually. I believe, actually, I have the book right here. Give me one moment. Douglas Abrams. Overall, good solid book. Finished this, and I happened to give it to my sister, who is across the room, not looking at me. I finished this during my time in the Toma VA. Over there, it was more of a isolation, I would say. Toma, Wisconsin is really small. Didn't have too many people to talk to after work. So one of the books that I found, I think it was, I Target, 30% off. I was like, let's go. And I wasn't really too much, I wasn't expecting when I was reading it, I wasn't expecting to learn this much. And the Dalai Lama visits his old companion, Desmond. And these two are, Desmond is a bishop, and Dalai Lama happened to Buddhist. So two different let's say points of view of life, but both are great friends. They share a lot of similarities, and
I can't.
but overall they have this, I think it was a 5-day kind of get together, and Douglas ended up just kind of not asking questions but observing and writing with their kind of get together. And at the end, a little bit of a trouble happened. Desmond does get a little bit ill, and obviously his friend is worried about him. And through these topics that I kind of picked, they don't really talk in depth about it, but they give examples. They were just kind of saying external materialistic values, horrible trait to have. These two gentlemen happen to be very big in their culture, but yet they don't take it for granted. They don't use it for their advantage. They don't have many expensive materials that boost up their ego. They don't have that because they know that it will corrupt their soul. So for myself, I was like, oh well, external values are good, but they shouldn't define our happiness. And neither of them, I mean, they probably have a lot of wealth, a lot of fame. Neither of them have that value. And then it kind of goes on to what brings them joy during their conversations. They were having a great time dancing, even in the cover and the back of the book. They were celebrating kind of a little get-together party, a feast, and they were kind of explaining everyone has these states of joy, from pleasure, amusement, contentment, excitement, relief, wonder, etc. All these that I listed, and yet they kind of explain that too much of this can bring you harm. State of joy is a thrill to have. Sometimes it's hard to receive. Sometimes it's hard to find. But once we have it, we feel really so good, and we don't want to get rid of this feeling. And then it kind of highlights back to the materialistic values. when you keep buying new things, shopping, you're feeling good, but you're gonna keep doing it and then keep going over it because it's so easy to get, and that overall kind of harms yourself. So they wanted to exploit these states of joy on balancing it. Um, I think I'm almost certain when they were had like a they were kind of by a painter, and they were seeing that this painter was taking his time with this artwork, and he wasn't kind of thinking about the whole like am I gonna mess up, but he was thinking more I hope that everyone enjoys his artwork. And it kind of highlights for the second one, self-centered thinking is a source of suffering. Everyone kind of gets that feeling when the pressure's on and you start contemplating, second guessing yourself. You're self-centered. You're thinking. You're self-centered. You're thinking. It's gonna get in your head, and it overall ruins your performance of anything you're doing. And this is where suffering begins, is in your mentality. Both of them kind of isolate the self-centered thinking by meditation. I know throughout the book, the Dalai Lama was, a matter of fact, getting to this sort of method of meditation and kind of explaining to us how it's brought up. And it's no joke. It takes time, it takes a lot of discipline, but he does it. And I feel like once you start understanding how well meditation can be, it could be a great asset for yourself to get rid of self-centered thinking and start focusing on others, and how instead of doing it for yourself, you're doing it for them, which kind of brings into the next topic. When you get suffering, stress and anxiety come from too much expectations and too much ambition. And then I kind of highlight from the bottom topic of it, self-centered attitudes. So obviously the self-centered thinking, you're going to produce a lot of expectations for yourself. You're going to have too much ambition. And currently I go through this a lot through my life, and through everyone else's life. You're going to have a lot of goals and set, which is great. You're going to have this a lot of ambition. You're going to have a lot of, I'm going to get after. If I'm not getting after, I'm not going to feel well. Well, like the previous point, that goes to self-centered thinking. And once we don't obtain these goals, once we're not feeling we're not feeling well about our process, our anxiety kicks in, our stress endures, and we are harming ourselves for the worse. And through this novel, both of them explain how to achieve this kind of thinking of reducing stress, reducing anxiety, thinking of others. And it was actually really well. I know for a fact that once I kind of finished this book, my attributes of my siblings changed. I became more at least thinking about their attitudes to an extent. I was never perfect at it in the beginning, but I got a little eye opener, and it changed at least a little bit of my aspect. Right, Gato? It was worse before. And last but not least, the 8 pillars of joy was kind of was like, we're talking about the states of joy, but the pillars come from 2 positions of ourselves. 4 in the mind, 4 of the heart. We have perspective, humility, humor, and acceptance. And with these are kind of key aspects of when something occurs in our life, we have options of how we take these challenges. If someone makes fun of us, we can laugh about it, get over it, and accept it. And at the end, it's not harming ourselves. But so let's say someone does make fun of us, we take it to anger, we take a grudge, we take violence. It leads to a different route. And these four minds highlights a lot on the aspect of not overthinking, but using your best judgment of these aspects to, let's say, not affect you in the long run. Because when you do take a bad choice, you know it's a bad choice when you are thinking about that past experience, months, days, years after it's been done. You know you did the wrong choice when you have that kind of thinking. And four of the heart is something that I struggle with myself. A lot of it's forgiveness, gratitude, compassion, and generosity. These aspects, I mean, it's tough.
For you.
It is tough for some individuals, but in the long run, they explain that if you can at least master these four concepts of your heart, you become a better person. And highlights back again to get rid of your self-centered thinking and reducing your suffering, reducing your anxiety, reducing your stress, becoming more peace, and enjoying life, having joy every day. So overall, it's been a year now since I had this book, and I really didn't touch much upon it. I know I wrote notes about the book, and I honestly think that anyone that struggles through stress, ambition, anxiety, a little bit of depression, who is trying to figure out how to cope with these in a peaceful state. Honestly, this book has a lot of humor between these two friends, and you get a good laugh and you get a good enjoyment and good understanding, kind of like you were in the place where they were meeting. And Douglas does a well job of not just making this kind of like an interview, but also a learning experience at this event. So, I mean, if you want to get at it, it's a really peaceful book. I'm currently going to read another Dalai Lama book, The Art of Happiness, and I'll let you know what I think. But understanding these aspects and portraying into your life are two different things. As much as I can understand that the four of hearts, forgiveness, gratitude, and compassion, generosity, actually doing it is a different story. And that is yet to happen in my life. But it happens by experience, by trying out and doing it. So with that being said, go out, check out the Book of Joy, and let me know what you guys think.